Hey, this is RIikki Rockett from Poison and Rockett Mafia, and you are listening to Talking About Rock.
Okay, today's guest is best known as the drummer for the band Poison, which has sold more than 50 million albums worldwide. His latest project, the Rockett Mafia, includes Mick Sweda, former King Cobra and Bullet Boys guitarist, Brandon Gibbs, who fronted Devil City Angels and is part of Joel Hoekstra and Brandon Gibbs' project, and Michael Adams, former Puddle of Mud bassist. Joining us now, let's welcome RIikki Rockett. Hello, RIikki.
Hey, how are you? I just muted my phone so that doesn't get in our way.
Okay.
I am fine. I am nursing this cold. You know what it is? I'm one of these guys that I feel a little bit better and then I go for it. I work out, I go for a motorcycle ride, and
Right.
then that night I'm like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done it.
Well, we definitely appreciate your time today. I'm sorry you're not feeling up to snuff, but
No, I'm fine. I just, yeah,
all
I
right,
might
well,
sound weird, that's all.
no, well, I know you're a busy guy, so let's start out a little bit. So Rockett Mafia just signed with Pavement Entertainment, and your book, Ghost Notes, looks like that's coming out in April, I believe, as well.
Yes, and I found this shirt. I just thought it was so apropos,
That's
and
perfect,
it
yeah.
has nothing to do with my book. Yeah, so the book is scheduled to come out in February. I'm going to be doing the narration as well, and they threw me a curveball and said, "Let's not only do that, let's put it out on vinyl." And I'm like, "You mean somebody will actually listen to me read the book on vinyl?" And he's like, "Well, maybe some people, but it's a collector's thing." And I went, "Okay, I'd never heard of that, but I'm learning something new every day."
Yeah, they're doing different stuff. You know, we had Rick Emmett on. He was talking about his project. So he did a book, and he actually put the notes from the songs as he was writing them in the book as well.
Oh,
And
that's so cool.
And then he released the album, right? And he felt the same way. You know, he's talking with his producer and then the people doing the book. There's like, are people going to dig this? And I'm like, Rick, man, this is your notes of what you're working on. People love that stuff, you know?
You're talking about the guitar player for Triumph, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
So I saw them at the Forum in Harrisburg on their first record. And I'll always remember Rick Emmett came running out from behind the crowd with a wireless. Like, not that many people used wireless back then,
Right.
but he did. And he came running out, and everyone's like, "Whoa, what is that going on?" You know, nobody expected it. So I always liked stuff like that. I always thought that was really cool. And they tore it up.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Triumph was definitely huge back in the day, and they're working on a lot of cool stuff right now. But let's get back to what's going on with you. So, you know, your band Rockett Mafia covers both Bullet Boys and Poison tracks. Also, are you guys thinking about maybe working on some new music? Is that a thought at all at this point, or is it kind of maybe down the line?
100%. I originally started this band basically just as a cover band, just for yucks, to go out there, have some fun, maybe make a little pocket change, and just have a good time playing the stuff that I loved growing up playing, rock and roll hoochie coo, like songs like that. And then, people kept saying, "Well, why don't you write some stuff on?" Well, I kind of did that with Devil City Angels. And that's tough. It's a lot of work it's like a startup company. You know what I mean?
Right. You got to build
really
it from the
is.
ground up. Yep.
And so on this one, I was kind of like, I don't want that pressure really of trying to be super unique and build a super group and all that kind of stuff. I just want guys that get along, that, can play together and have a lot of fun but It's been creeping in a little bit. And Mark from Pavement said, why don't you write a couple things? Like, do you have anything in the can? And I said, well, actually, I do. Brandon does. Mick does. I mean, so we're going to get together and start doing that as soon as we're waiting for Mick's knee to heal up just a little bit more. He had surgery on it, had to get it done. And he missed the last gig, as a matter of fact. And we had Jeremy step in from Ace Frehley's band. He stepped in about 4 days before Ace passed away. And so it was like, oh my God, now he's not going to be able to do it either.
Right.
I was thinking to myself, being selfish for a minute. And he did, man. He went literally from Ace's funeral to my house to rehearse.
Wow.
And he was not in the best headspace, but he put his head up and he did it and he nailed it and he did a great job.
That's excellent. Excellent. Yeah, I know I spoke to Steve Brown a little bit. He attended the funeral for Ace and, gave us kind of a little insight of what happened there. Obviously, we lost another rock icon with that. You know what I mean? It's kind of foretelling, unfortunately, nowadays. All these folks are older and that's what happens. But obviously, shook to the core with that. I mean, what can you say about Kiss? Influenced everybody, right?
Yeah, even if you weren't a Kiss fan, you were a Kiss fan. I mean, it's like, you have to give it up to Kiss for all the. I mean, they're pivotal. They were more than just a rock band. They were a social movement.
Yeah,
literally, in the 70s and 80s and on. And, they hung in there. I just did a jam with Chevy Metal and they opened for Gene Simmons' band. So I stuck around and watched Gene Simmons' band and, hearing Shout It Out Loud and all these. I mean, that's my youth, man. It's
totally
it
same for me here. Exactly. I grew up. That was the first big band when I was younger. The phenomenon. It was a phenomenon back then. Nobody knew it was going to be, but here we are 50 years later with them.
I got to tell you this story though. Okay. So they played in Harrisburg, right where I'm from. And I went to see them play and I forget who opened. I want to say it was like REO Speedwagon or something. And, I little by little, it was all animal style seating, right? No, there was no assigned seats where I was, and just GA. And I was a kid, mowing lawns for money. So I kept getting to the front of the stage, closer and closer to the front of the stage. Right before Kiss came on, I was like second row, and they came on, and I got crushed. And I had partaked in a couple of things and I just got dizzy and passed out. Next thing I know, this dude has me over a water fountain somewhere in the venue, and he's watching my face out and he goes, "Are you okay, buddy? I'm gonna go watch Kiss." And I went, yeah. He goes, "I had to save you. You passed out." And I went, "Oh my God." And I'm looking up there and I'm seeing Gene Simmons' boot on the monitor and a candelabra and all this stuff. And I'm sitting there going, "Oh no, I want to get up there." And he goes, "Come with me if you think you can handle it again. Don't pass out on me again." And I don't know where that guy is today, but I owe him a thank you like right now because I managed to get up there maybe about 8th row, which was fine. And saw Kiss like right before Kiss Alive came out, as a matter of fact. Like I'm aging myself.
But I understand. Yeah, my first show was back in '78, but amazing. Yeah, that's definitely an amazing memory for you. So I also want to talk a little bit about your book. I don't know if you want to give us a little bit of insights in that at all. We know that's coming up. Your book, Ghost Notes. Can you give us maybe just a little bit of a taste of what we're going to be seeing there?
Yeah, so it's through the lens of me pretty much growing up in this band. I mean, some of it's before Poison, obviously. And I think it's more or less talking about my poignant moments in life that were pivotal, that formed like who I am, basically. And some are good and some are bad. You know what I mean? I open up right away. Everybody wanted to know about what happened with cancer, so I open up the book with that. Just get it out of the way right off the bat, and come back to it later. But and then I think there's a lot of introspective things. There's a lot of kind of set the record straight, what really did happen, how it got narrated through the media or what have you, or what people kind of tell each other over time and what they believe to be the truth. I mean, just simple things like, I mean, like there was no moniker called hair band back when,
Right.
Poison was, I mean, that came later when it was actually described as a cut down. Somebody was trying to cut us down in an interview, in a article in probably 95 or something, I think is when I first saw it. Maybe it was even earlier than that. And I realized that was an aggressive way of, categorizing us as an image and nothing else. But we never thought ourselves. Basically what we were getting hit with back when we started was this band is just, these guys are just trying to be, the glitter rock. They're trying to do the glitter rock movement of the 70s all over again. That's what we were getting hit with. And we're like, no, there's influence there, no question about it. But we're equally as influenced by Van Halen, by way of example. Yeah, it's just funny how, so a lot of it is setting the record straight on some of those things and going back in time. And, a lot of people think that, for example, that Poison played the whiskey every week. We've never played the whiskey. Ever as a band, even to this day, we've never played the whiskey. Nothing against the whiskey. I think it's a great venue. When we were in LA, they didn't have their liquor license, so they weren't open for business. It was the Troubadour, it was Gazzari's, it was a bunch of other places. But just things like that, just simple things that really are not even, I mean, I guess I could do 35 interviews and go through all of it, you know what I mean? But
right.
It's kind of better to put it in a book. And just a lot of my own personal stuff, what happened when I was accused, when I got arrested, and what truly really happened. And, because I wanted to talk, and they were like, no, don't say anything. My lawyers were like, you don't talk about this stuff,
Right. Back then, you just had to have them handle that. Definitely.
Right.
And I'm glad you brought that up because we really want to give you a chance to do that. And like you were saying, set the record straight. We know you're constantly bombarded with questions about the band, about their status, about what's happening. There's all kinds of, fake internet posts about this and that and the other thing that comes out nowadays, right? And then, of course, recently the interview with Pete Evick from Bret Michaels' band, he kind of chimed in as well, very openly about what he thought or what his thoughts were around some of this stuff. You know what I mean? So I wanted to kind of give you a chance if you want to answer any of that or speak to any of that. You were there when this stuff happened. This was part of your life, like you're talking about. You know what I mean? So I think you should have the opportunity to say, this is what happened. This is how we're going forward. Can you speak to any of that?
I can. I texted with the metal guru today, Anthony Bryant, and I said, Anthony, should I come on your show and set the record straight? And he said, I would like it if you did that. So I sort of feel like since it happened on his show, that I probably should set the record straight on his show about the Pete Evick stuff. And I'm going to try to honor that, if you don't mind. And I'm not sidestepping you because at all. I wish I could give you exclusive to that, but it's not that exclusive. I'm sure Pete Evick and I will be spooning again one day.
I totally understand.
I'm kidding. I
got a few follow-up questions for you, maybe. So maybe not exactly speaking to those points, but folks kind of like want to know: is the communication still good between yourself and the rest of the Poison?
I talk to Cece all the time. At least once or twice a week. And his mom and my mom were like really close, and my mom passed away, and his mom's going through a lot right now. And, that's kept us close on one level. I talk to Bobby less. Bobby keeps to himself a lot these days, which is okay. If that's how he, Bobby can't help himself but to talk about business. And sometimes he doesn't want to talk about business. So he just doesn't want to pick up the phone. You know what I mean? But Brett and I do not talk, unfortunately. And that's a shame. Honestly, it is. So we get bits and pieces of stuff. I mean, I'll set the record straight as far as Poison touring. At this point in time, there is nothing on the books for a 2026 40th anniversary tour. And I said it months ago that when we got presented a contract from Live Nation to go on tour, CC, Bobby, and I agreed. We thought it was great. We thought the money was great. We thought the lay of the land looked great. And then Brett looked at it and has not agreed to anything. So literally, that is where we're at. I'm not trying to bash Brett or to do any. I'm not trying to start.
Right. We're not looking for that. We're just looking for from the fan standpoint because they get bombarded with all this fake stuff. Let's just have the folks here that are involved with it. I mean, this is your livelihood. This is your business. People think it's like a brotherhood in a band, but it's everybody working together, and it's your business, it's your livelihood. So all the moving pieces got to work together, and if they don't, you try to work that out. And maybe sometimes you can, and maybe sometimes you can't.
Yeah, it's like some people say, "Oh, it's like family." If it was like family, I'd be out. No, so no, it is. I mean, you build relationship. I've had long relationship with these guys. So, but one thing you have to understand is, like, for instance, the Bret Michaels band tours very differently from the way Poison tours. Poison tours the way Def Leppard and Motley Crue and Luke Bryan or whoever, you know what I mean? Where we basically kiss our families goodbye for 3+ months or however long it's going to be and go out and tour bus and trucks, and we're playing 5 nights a week, sometimes 6 nights a week. And that's not how Brett tours. He does weekend warrior stuff, which there's nothing wrong with that, and at all. Joan Jett does it. I mean, tons of bands do this. Rockett Mafia does it. We can't play in Omaha, Nebraska on a Tuesday night and make any money. We're not going to. We'll be upside down,
Yeah.
But a band, when at the level we've managed to get to, and Def Leppard and bands like this, you can play on a Tuesday night and people will come at the right time. You still have to manage it correctly.
Yeah, it has to be promoted correctly. I think that's pretty much the key, right? Especially on an off day like that. So I wanted to ask you quick, you brought up a little bit, but the stadium tour with Motley and Leppard, that was a great tour. Was that a good experience for you going through that?
Oh, it was great. Yeah, it was great. Look, it's so funny because people go, man, you would think that in these stadiums, there would be so much room to do everything you want. It's weird because it's set up for sports. Okay. So it's not set up for a bunch of trucks and buses and all that stuff. So most of the time our bus would be 2 miles away in a parking lot somewhere, and we'd have to take a golf cart or an Uber or a van or something like that to get to the venue. And then you get to the venue and it's like Motley and Def Leppard got all the nice dressing rooms and like the electrician's room or something. So from that standpoint, it wasn't as nice as when we headlined. But we're playing these massive places for amazing fans. I mean, it was literally a once in a lifetime experience. We've played some big shows. We've done Donington. We've done a lot of these Texas Jam, like a lot of these things like that. But to do it kind of on that level or close to that level for 40 nights or whatever it was, I mean, that was amazing. And it keeps you on your toes, man. You can't go out there half cocked. I mean, not that we don't ever do that anyway. I don't think any of us ever go out there on stage nonchalantly. I mean, we're a band that pride ourselves in giving it everything we got. Even if everything that we have isn't as good as it was the night before, I'm still going to give it everything that I have. You know what I mean? And I know the rest of the band's like that. Brett's like that. CC, Bobby, we never half-ass anything.
Yeah, I can definitely tell you. You might have not got the best dressing rooms, but all the feedback I've read, I've seen a lot of people that have gone to those shows. I've talked to a lot of people that went to the stadium tour. You guys knocked it out of the park. Maybe some of the other bands didn't on that, and I'm not going to name who. That's been done enough on the internet. but you guys did a tremendous job. Everybody I've spoken to, it's like Poison's still kicking ass, and that's what we want to see.
Well, we were kind of the underdog. I mean, maybe Joan Jett was too, Colossal Zach, arguably, but who's great, by the way. Those guys are super talented. I mean, it was just so much fun because, I mean, my buddy's a drummer for Joan Jett, Michael McDermott. We got to hang out every day. And, those kind of experiences are just awesome, and we're like at Lambeau Field or something like that, having lunch and looking out and going, wow, we're going to play this, in a few hours. Like, how cool is this?
Right. I saw you had a post
for every minute.
Yeah, I saw you had a post a couple days ago. Rockett Mafia opened for Blue Oyster Cult, and you did a little bit of fanboy, and you were saying for that, being out to dinner with the guys from BOC. Just a great band. Maybe a lot of the folks nowadays aren't as familiar with them, but they were killer back in the day, and they still sound good.
You know what? I fanboyed out bad. I was like, Buck Dharma wrote, I love the Golden Age of Leather, and that was their, I think, fourth or fifth song that they played. A lot of people don't know that song because it's not one of their hits. But if you're a Blue Oyster Cult fan, you're like, yeah, that's. And Buck Dharma wrote the lyrics and everything, and I just love the lyrics to that song. It's like, and I was going nuts on the side of the stage, like almost embarrassing myself,
That's what happens sometimes. You meet some of these people, right, that you grew up listening to their music. So we talked a little bit about it. So what's next for Rockett Mafia? You said maybe some music coming down the pike, maybe a couple months next year, or what do you think the time frame?
Well, it's funny that you ask that because, we just signed with Pavement, and Mark is the president of Pavement, and we are right now literally in a text thing where all the members are going to get together on a Zoom meeting and talk about everything that we're doing from here out. Because I had different management and a different agent and all that stuff earlier at the beginning. That didn't work out that great. This is a better marriage, I think. So we'll see. I think it will be. I think it'll be good. And so, the goal, of course, is to do a bunch of shows next year. A bunch of shows, put out maybe an EP with some stuff, with some original material, and maybe maybe we'll throw out a couple of these cover songs that we cover already. Might as well. We're already playing them. I have a studio. Mick has a studio. We can do this, so we will.
All right, that sounds awesome. Okay, one last thing for you. You think you'll be possibly doing any signings or appearances for the new book when that drops?
Yes, they do want me to do that. I don't have a schedule. I think what they do is once they have the cover and they have all that stuff and they sell it to the retailers, from my understanding, then they start to request signings and things like that, and then they'll build a schedule, and that's another thing I'll have to work around with Rockett Mafia next year. So
all right. So yeah, we definitely look forward to that. And just thank you so much for your time today, Ricky. I really appreciate it.
And thank you for understanding that I was going to talk to Anthony about that information. I'm just trying to be respectful, because I did promise him that. So
I appreciate that, and I can understand. I just wanted to give you that opportunity if that hadn't presented itself as of yet. You know what I mean?
I appreciate that.
When this stuff starts flying, you seem to be very like, well, you know what? Maybe this isn't really how it was, and some stuff doesn't need to be shared, and some stuff needs to be kept in the inner circle, right? So I get that.
Let me just finish with this. I don't know why our genre has more infighting than any other kind of music out there. I mean, you don't see jazz guys fighting like this. At least I don't. Country people are not fighting. I mean, we should be united, man. I mean, we're a smaller percent of the music industry these days, and in order to grow, we're not going to do it by fighting with each other. That's for damn sure,
Yeah, definitely. Well, we hope you work things out moving forward. All right, very, very cool. All right, so that wraps up this episode of Talking About Rock. Thank you to my guest today, RIikki Rockett, and to our listeners. We hope you're doing your part by keeping the torch alive and supporting live music wherever you are. RIikki, again, thank you.